Hello YouTube, RJ. Well, you're looking at our next project, jukebox that my mom has owned for probably 35 years, of which probably the last 20 it hasn't worked. It quit working and has just sat in her rec room all these years, and she has asked me to please get this working for her. And it was a request I just couldn't refuse, so I had to work it into the lab to get done. So interesting little tidbit is this is a 1959 jukebox, and it was the first model out that was stereo. We're going to be digging into some old technology here, all tubes obviously, and a lot of mechanical analog computer type stuff that runs the operation. So I'm probably getting in over my head, I'll be honest, but let's jump into it. Let's see what we can do and see if we can get this thing working. Okay, we've got a vintage Seeburg Jukebox Model 220. It's a selectomatic 100. It's still in really good shape. You know, they've kept it inside and everything, but it's not working. So we're going to tear into this rascal and see what Link's Electronics Lab can do to it. So, okay, well, we got into it, and everything is gummed up. This unit, the main unit, will hardly move. It's stiff. It's got to come out. We tried to, let me walk around here. We tried to, we took the top glass off. We got the back panels off. We were going to go ahead and pull that unit out. It just slides out the back, but you have to undo the cables, pull them up through. But we ran into a little problem. Right down here, we have our nemesis. We have a key right here. Guess what? Mom doesn't have the key to it. She's never had keys to this. I can't get in to get the cables loose. So what we're going to do is, luckily we went to eBay and we think we found someone with a key to this. So we've ordered that. It's going to be a few days. So we're kind of on hold at the moment, but we'll come back when I can get this going. So we'll be back. Okay. Hey, we started back on the jukebox, and so far Dad and I have pulled the selectomatic head out of the jukebox. It wasn't too bad. Just had to pull a couple cables loose and bring them up through the cabinet, and slid it right out the front. You can see here we're getting ready to take off the record holder. I went ahead and pulled out the 4 Allen key bolts that fit here, here, and the same on the other side to get the record selector or record holder and tomac off. Run into a little bit of an issue here where we've got, and I've seen everybody has this issue, we've run into these 2 wires right here. Okay, they run up and they hook to the counter and the lights up here, and there's really no way you can disconnect it easily. You can't take this off. This wire holds you. So what I'm going to do is, excuse the noise, I'm going to pull the chair over here where I can get down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them and follow these wires down, and I've got a black wire right here, and it solders on. Let's see if we can get a good view of that in there. It solders on right here where this resistor, the bottom of this resistor hooks. So I'm going to desolder that from there. I'll either desolder, I may just clip it. Now that I think about it, might be better to clip it and just trim a little bit back off and solder it back on. It runs up, that's the black wire here, and the white wire or tan wire or whatever it used to be runs around and connects right here on these switches. So on the left hand side of this bank of switches, there's 3 terminals on each bank. On the left bank, the middle one is where the white wire goes, right here. Comes in here and solders right here. So we'll have to remember to where those are, and I'll use this tape as a chance to do it. We'll get those hooked back up when we put this all back together, but they're going to have to come off for the moment. You can see this thing is really nasty and grody. It is just conked up. I mean, everything is very hard to turn. This is going to need a complete tear down and clean, lube, and put back together. It's probably not been maintained in probably 40 years. So hopefully we can get her back working. So I'll come back when I got a little more done. Thanks. Okay, so we've got the actual selectomatic unit out of the unit. Over here's the base. We got it out and cleaned it up. Went ahead and pulled the what do they call it, Tormatic or whatever, the Torad piece. And so we've cleaned this with a little degreaser and brake clean. So a little cleaner than it was, but it's still nasty. So what we're fixing to do here, so let me run around here. We're fixing to pull the transmission right, back up a little, right here out. But there's a whole lot of things that have to come off, such as this spring I'm pointing at right here. And you've got to get this clip in here out, goes down to it. And then you've got 4 bolts that hold it on. And up here you've also got the tensioner unit has to come off, which that bolt's loose. Somebody left that loose. That's not good. So we'll, no, actually that was me. I loosened up the clamp to get the wire out. Never mind. So we will get this tore down. I'll come back, show you what we got, and we'll start working on cleaning and trying to get things to move again. Okay, well, this is 2 days later. We've been working off and on a little bit on the unit. We've pulled the clutch off and completely cleaned this thing up, lubed and greased it. We're going to be putting that back on now. We have cleaned this thing up to the best we could. Lacquer thinner is the real trick. Nothing else seems to take that dry gunk off of everything. So what we've done is we went ahead and cleaned up everything we could the best we could. I think we did pretty good considering. This thing is a complicated nightmare. I went in and pulled that motor run capacitor off right here and put it on the LCR meter, and it turns out it was good. Surprisingly, it was as good as out of the box new. I was quite surprised. I did break a resistor. You can probably see the new resistors right here. I broke that trying to get the screw for the clamp out. It was an old carbon. Of course, you know how brittle those could be. So we went ahead and I didn't have 120 ohm half watt, but I had 100 and a 20 ohm half watt. So you can see I combined the two to give me a 120. Wow, it's raining and lightning. You can probably hear in the background. Sorry about that. But we just completed the lube of this whole thing, and I'll come over here and let you see. Here's the lube chart out of the book. There are so many places to lubricate on this thing. We spent probably an hour and a half or more lubing stuff. So, little trick, there's lots of places you can't get into. Down in places, mainly on this side, that you just can't get to. If I get you over here and let you look down in there, there's pivots and stuff. If you take a tool like this and put it on the top of the pivot, drip oil on it and let it run down, that's the best way to lube it. So anyway, we're at the point now, we're ready to go ahead and put the clutch back in position here. We've got the gears greased up. So we'll be doing that, and I'll come back a little later down the line, let you know how we're making out. Okay, we're back. We got the clutch in, clutch installed. Everything is working as it should. It shifts, it does everything, does the pickup. So I'm happy at this point with that. Next thing is to get this unit mounted back into its cradle, and then rig up a way to put 120 volts on this and see if we can get it to go back and forth to let us know that the mechanism's working. So, all right, I'll be back when I've got some more news. Okay, well, we've got it all back together. Took a few tries, different things, trying to get rollers lined up and such. Went ahead and hooked up the dim bulb tester, the Variac, and my isolator transformer, and didn't have a short or anything, so I disconnected the dim bulb. I've got straight line voltage feeding into the 2 hot lines coming to the head, and flipped it on, and it went one way and would not go back the other. So after many hours of, or not hours, I'm sorry, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes of playing with these switches, I traced it down and realized that these contacts were not making reliably. So I did a lot of work on those. I've got those reliably making and breaking, and you know, let's flip the switch on here and see what we get. Look at that. almost like it was meant to be. Hot diggity, we got it. We got the magnetism working again. This thing was so frozen up, it would not move. But it's all working good now. It's all lubed. We're ready to move on and try out the other components in the jukebox to see if, you know, this is just power coming to this head. There's solenoids and such in the other part that controls it. By the way, the play mechanism works too. Let me do this. Throw it into play mode, and look at that. It thinks it loaded up a record. Throw it back into scan mode. Shifts back to scan. Just could not be happier with that. All right, we're making good progress. We'll see how this continues on. I got a feeling I'm going to be at least recapping an amp and the other mechanism probably, but we'll see. We'll see what we run into. So we keep moving right along. All right, we're back. Very happy to get this going, as you know, but we're still having problems with this reversing switch down here. The contacts can be a little intermittent. The thing can run for, you know, can run for a long time with no problem at all. And then it'll stop, and you just touch it and it goes. The contacts are pretty rough. We looked to see about getting one. We found one that's in decent shape, or actually it's new old stock, but it's like $100. So we're going to try something and hope that this works out. That switch, if you're curious, let me pan in here. That switch is this switch right here, the reversing switch. This changes the direction of the AC, hot and neutral, to the motor to make it run forward and backwards. And the contacts are just so old and pitted and such, even cleaning them as well as we did, we're still having like intermittent issues. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to desolder these connectors. First, we're going to document them very carefully. I'm going to remove them. I'm going to get this switch off, and I'm going to try to do some cleaning. I'll pick back up and show you what we're doing. We're going to do some deep cleaning, and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, we've just pulled it out of the ultrasonic with the vinegar and salt. And you can already see a big improvement. You can see what it's taken off. So now it's just a matter of rinsing and putting in the baking soda to neutralize it, and then we'll move it to the cleaning solution, and that'll hopefully really clean it up. So we'll come back when we get that done. Okay, we're finished. You can see here's the soap Aviation Simply Green, and here's what the acid did. And of course, this is just baking soda to neutralize it. And here's our switch. I'm hoping you can see just how much cleaner everything on the switch is. I mean, it's like night and day. It does a really good job. I'm just blown away with how much cleaner this thing is. So anyway, we're going to get back on, get it soldered up, pull the other switch that's above it that you saw, and go ahead and do the same thing and get it back together. And we'll be back, and we'll go from there. Okay, we've got all those switches cleaned, put back in, soldered up. We've got it put back together. Cleaned up the best we can. And she's, as far as moving and doing its thing, she does her thing. So this will be going back in the cabinet probably tomorrow. We're knocking off for the night, and we'll see what else has to be done to get this thing back operational. It's been quite a job just to get to here, so we'll keep working at it. Okay, we got her back together, and we plugged everything back in and tried to bring her up on dim bulb. And got her up to the point that the amplifier was humming. Things just didn't seem to be working. The amplifier wasn't putting any audio out, and then it started humming really bad. So we powered her off. So we're going to pull this stuff off. I'm going to take it to the bench, go through it, change the caps, see what I can find. And we're going to get the other mechanisms out of there, the coin and the different payment things and such, and work them over and see if we can get them cleaned up. So we keep struggling along with it. We did get all the records ultrasonically cleaned in the ultrasonic machine and put them back in, so they're loaded back up. So we're slowly making headway.